Hi, everybody. It's Daphne Matthews. I am sitting here with Stuntman, former wrestler, actor, Mr. Chris Hahn. How you doing, Chris?
Good. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. How you been?
Great. The holiday seasons were great. I'm glad they're over. Um, I just had a small hip procedure done, and I had my follow-up doctor visit today, and I'm 100%, and I don't have to go back and see him. And life is good. Life is good.
That's good to hear it. So I'm gonna jump right in and get this started. I'm sure everybody's asking, where do you come from?
I was born and raised in Mansfield, Ohio. I was adopted. So I was originally born in the Cleveland area. My biological mother lives in the Erie, Pennsylvania area, but I was adopted into a family in Mansfield, Ohio, and was raised in Mansfield, Ohio.
How did you become a stuntman?
28 years in the world of professional wrestling, and I had a softball-sized brain tumor in 2014. And I was in a concussion study at the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, and they did a series of tests. And during the MRIs and the PET scans, they found a softball-sized benign brain tumor over my right eye, and it was due from all the pro wrestling. I did 28 years of professional wrestling, on and off with the WWF at the time, ECW, WCW, and on the independent level. Buddy of mine who's a stuntman out in LA, his name's Dave Hutchinson, who's been in everything. He said to me after I had to give up and retire out of the wrestling world that you ought to get into stunt work. You've done 28 years of choreographed fight scenes. You know how to fall. You know how to throw punches. You know how to kick. You know how to sell. You've been a stuntman already for 28 years. You might as well jump in because it's all safety and precautions first, and the chance of you having any kind of more head injuries is very slim to none. So I hooked up with a gentleman in the Cleveland, Ohio, Madison, Ohio area by the name of Richard Fike, who runs Stunt Predators. And it's been great ever since. I've worked with Zac Efron in Extremely Wicked and Vile, the Ted Bundy story. I got to work on Red Notice with Dwayne Johnson, Ryan Reynolds. I just did a movie that's coming out on Netflix December 30th called White Noise, where I actually had some dialogue with Adam Driver, and I did some stunt work in that. And it's just been it's been a blessing because it's amazing being, and like it's amazing. Like, we worked together on Wrong Turn, and it's just amazing being on set and meeting the people you do, and having the freedom to make good money and do things that you really love to do, and there's really no stress in it. So I'm pretty blessed. Just like we're both pretty blessed.
It's a lot of fun. I
Yeah,
like doing it because I have fun. I get
sure.
to meet everybody. I talk to everybody. God, I end up knowing everybody.
Sure.
But I mean, it's fun. And then you get to see the other side when you're back, not in front of the camera, but doing the productions, everything else.
Sure.
It's cool to learn, something cool to
Sure.
learn.
Right. And then seeing the finished product makes it worth it because, as you know, when you shoot, you really don't know how it's going to all wind up together. And when you get to see the finished product, it kind of blows you away, because they never shoot anything in sequence. So you
No,
just
no,
never
they
know.
don't.
You don't know how it's going to turn out. And it's pretty amazing when they edit it and put it all together, as you know.
Yeah, I was having that conversation the other day. I would never want an editor's job. I
Amen.
learned how to edit. I think for somebody who didn't know how to edit, I think I'm doing pretty damn good.
Sure.
Really.
Sure. Well, as you can tell before we started our little interview here, I'm not very computer literate. I'm not very good with the computer, so editing would be a huge chore for me. I got a buddy in Cleveland who does all my reels and stuff, and he does an amazing job. But I'm just going to leave that to him.
You know what's surprising? Excuse me. I wasn't either. I wasn't a computer person. When I started Lore and DMTM, I had to put up websites, and I had no help with those websites. And I
Sure.
just sat down and kept going and figured it out. And then once I got the first one done, the second one was easier. I can edit a website in, I don't know, 5 minutes, if that, you know what I mean? Doing everything at once and then getting it published. And then
Sure.
it was the computer part with like music and how they cut the reels and everything else. That part of the editing, like movie editing, I never did that either. And then I sat down again and made myself learn it because I didn't have
Right.
anyone else to do it for me. I wasn't going to keep sending these like interviews and stuff like that off to other people. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I
Sure.
figured I just
Well, you know
learned.
what? I've been told by many people, the more bullets you have in your chamber, the more valuable you are to companies that you work for. So being a stuntman and having an acting ability and knowing how to do choreographing and fight scenes and stunt coordinating makes me a little bit just like with you. Being a producer, knowing what goes on behind scenes, how money is spent, how budgets and location stuff is found makes you a lot more valuable when a movie comes into town and they hire you on because you've got more bullets in your chamber and you're more productive and you're a bigger asset to the company than if you just had one skill,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think I learned like all my business knowledge. Yeah, I went to college, you know, for 6 years. I did 2 years medical and then 4 years forensic psychology. But
Well,
then what was weird is, you know, life takes those turns, you know.
sure.
And then I started I had to open my own business, which was cleaning and painting. And then once I did that, um I don't know, then I somehow ended up in the movie business, but I ran that for 14 years. So like the
Right.
business side I learned because I've always been somebody who I know business, you know.
Sure.
I definitely know business.
Sure.
So in your in your stunt career, have you done any stunt training?
You know, like I said, I did 28 years of choreographed fight scenes. And then when I started going to work with Rick Fike, I started to learn how to fall down stairs or get dragged by a car, get hit by a car. I'm not real big in the fire stuff. I mean, I've caught on fire a couple times, but it's not my cup, especially if it's outside and you have like wind and the weather elements. It's kind of scary. I'm not real big in the water stuff
Yeah.
because I'm not a great swimmer. I mean, I can swim enough to save myself, but to do a water scene, it's kind of a little scary for me. So basically, what I do is I maintain what I'm good at and I work on what I'm not very good at. And like, let's say you're going to shoot a movie, you need a guy for fire. I'm going to be perfectly honest because I've talked to many stunt coordinators. If I go on set and they hire me for a skill and I can't do that skill, I'm going to be blackballed because I lied to the producer, I lied to the director, and I lied to the stunt coordinator. And they wasted money by flying me in and putting me up. And then when I get on set, I can't do it. So you got to be honest with what you can and what you can't do. And you need to, how would you say it? Excel at your skills and then work on the ones that you're not that good at. So that's what I do. I mean, I still work on choreographed fight scenes and stuff with a bunch of buddies of mine. We get together and we go to a gym and we work on stuff. But in the summertime, I work on swimming and stuff. And I kind of just stay away from fire because fire is just.
You hear that, guys? Don't lie on your damn resume because
Exactly.
we will find out about it.
Oh, yeah, you will. You really will.
And then you're in trouble.
Well, there's a friend of mine. His name's Ely Brada, who's a stunt coordinator out of Michigan. And he did Escape Plan 2 with Stallone and Batista and stuff. And he hired a guy in to do a flat back. And the guy didn't know how to fall. So they flew him to Atlanta. They put him up. They paid for an airline. They put him up. And then they signed him to a SAG wage. And he got on there and he embarrassed the stunt coordinator. And it was like, that guy, he's pretty much blackballed because he lied on his resume and they wasted a bunch of money on bringing the guy in and he couldn't do what they wanted him to do, you know? So it's a lesson to be learned, you know, and you don't want to learn the lesson the hard way.
No, you don't. Because I mean, I just don't see no point in it. There's one thing, I mean, there are three things I hate in this world. One's liars, two's thieves, and the other ones are cheats.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you lie, you just look like an idiot because your ass is going to get caught in it anyway, eventually.
Sure. Eventually, right.
You know, it won't be. So out of everything, I'm just going to go off the page here other than what we had planned. We're going to wing it.
There you go. Wing it. Sometimes those work out better than exactly.
So what's your favorite movie that you've been in so far?
Probably Red Notice, because it was amazing working with The Rock. I mean, I worked with The Rock in the wrestling world back in the day,
Yeah.
but basically the persona that he has when he steps on set is just kind of like mind blowing. And then working with Ryan Reynolds, who's probably the funniest guy in the world, and he makes everything.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
And it's crazy because I would sit there and I watched these guys. Like I watched Adam Driver and his whole mannerisms and stuff, because that's basically the only way you learn is by watching the A-listers and see how they work, how they relate with people and stuff. So when I was on set at Red Notice, Dwayne Johnson went up to every person on set. If it was the trash man, if it was the catering, if it was the guy that picked up the porta pots, thanked them and said, hey, thank you for being on and allowing me to do what I do and allowing me to have the movies to the capability that I have. And I'm pretty good friends with Dwayne Johnson's stunt double. His name's Tanawa Reed. And we stay pretty close. But God, those guys just put on amazing shows. I mean, because he does all of Dwayne's stunts. And if you've watched a lot of the Rock movies, his stunts are pretty over the top, you know?
Yeah, my favorite movie with him was Central Intelligence with
Sure.
Kevin Hart. Oh my God, I lost it.
That's great. That's a good movie.
But Ryan Reynolds, I don't think there's no way in hell I could probably work on a set with him, because I already have this problem where like I'll laugh, you know what I mean? And I know he's funny, especially if he's like he was in Deadpool. I would crack up. I would.
Right. And like I said, his stunt guy is by the name of Jackson. His first name's I forget what his last name's Jackson, but they're like twins. And this guy he does all John Wick fights and stuff. So I mean, this guy's pretty versed in his fight scenes. He's not a very big guy, but man, he can move. And just sitting there watching these guys that have been in the stunt business for so long and just kind of learning them and just sitting back. My dad always told me, there's two things my dad always told me. He said, keep your mouth shut and keep your ears open and just listen and learn. And the other thing he always told me was the sun shines on a dog's rear end every now and then. So, you know, it's just, you got to be humble in this business, because once you start to get an attitude, nobody wants to work with you. And so, you know, and so it's like, be gracious, be humble, and be thankful for what you get and what you've done.
Yeah. I mean, Dwayne, that's pretty cool. I mean, seriously, Dwayne, and like even now, me, you know what I mean? I don't take myself for like a movie star or anything, but I have people that inbox me for autographs. So I check them out, you know.
I have people that inbox me because I've done some producing here in Mansfield. We did a movie called Escape from Death Block 13, and we brought a guy in that looked like Charles Bronson. His name's Robert Kovacs. And I have people that send me their resumes and the reels thinking I'm some kind of producer and stuff. And it's like, you know what? I just hired some stunt guys and brought my buddies in, you know, and my buddies that are actors. I'm no producer by any means. I don't know how to budget anything. I don't know how to do location scouts or anything like that. I can tell people, like, if you come into Mansfield, I can say, hey, there's a guy that works at Braintree, which is the small business thing that can get you locations. But I don't know what to do when it comes. But it's like filling your Rolodex with all these people that you know makes you more valuable. And it's like, hey, if this guy can get me this and he can do this and he can bring these stunt guys in, maybe I'll bring him on as an associate producer and he'll help me out with all this other certain stuff. So it's like you learn a lot. And when you walk on set, you always learn something. You might think you know it all, but you don't, because you're always going to learn something, you know, and you just got to keep an open mind, you know?
Yeah, that's one thing. If I don't know how to do something, I am definitely honest about it. Like, I don't have no damn clue. Somebody needs to come help me.
Right. Well, I know what you're saying.
I don't lie about it. So what was it like being in the WWF?
Crazy, because it's a circus, basically. You got the biggest guys in the world, and they're all freaks. I mean, hell, and I wrestled the guys I've wrestled. I wrestled the Undertaker, who's 6'11", 340 pounds, and I got put in the body bag. Was I a superstar wrestler? No. I was more of a mid card, what they call a glorified jobber. I'd go out there and do a job, make the guy look good. I got to wrestle Mick Foley. I got to wrestle Stone Cold. I got to wrestle the Road Warriors. I got to wrestle the Ultimate Warrior. And it was a blast getting to travel with these guys, listen to these guys. I learned a lot. And I was pretty gracious enough that my dad owned his own business here in Mansfield and allowed me to come and go when I needed to come and go.
Yeah.
So I got to experience all that. And I tell you what, the wrestling business has got me a lot of work in the movie business, you know, because you're already an actor when you're in the ring. The difference is it's more like theater acting because you're in front of a live crowd. There's no 2 takes, 3 takes, 4 takes. You hit it on the spot. And if you screw up, you just get up and you brush it off and you try to do it again, or try to just go on and act like it never happened.
You know what? When I was younger, I mean, I haven't watched a lot of wrestling in a long time,
Right.
but I used to watch it all the time back in the days that you're talking about. That was my favorite time to actually watch them. And at the time, I was young, you know what I mean? Stupid. I thought the shit was real.
Yeah, there's a lot of, you know what I mean? But when you become a professional wrestler, you got to take like 6 months of training. For every move, there's a counter move. My trainer used to make us punch into the wall, and it teaches you not to lay all the way in, because if you lay all the way in, you're going to bust your knuckles up.
Yeah.
And then we got to work on our kicks on a concrete wall, because if we kick it too hard, we're going to break or bust our toes up. So it's kind of old school style, but you know, it taught me and it's totally different from the acting stunt world, because in the wrestling world, I still make contact. It's just I don't make contact hard. In the movie business, it's all camera angles. So when I swing a punch, there might be like a foot or two in between the chin, but if you're shooting it over my right shoulder when I'm throwing a right punch, you don't see all that space, as long as the guy sells it right. Yeah. So, I mean, I had to learn, and then you have to learn to stay in a frame like this, where in the wrestling world, it's a 20 by 20 ring I got to stay in. So a lot of it has to do with footwork and not drawing back real. So when I throw my punch, I'm not out of frame. But you know what? Over a period of time of getting yelled at a lot, you kind of learn it, you know?
So what's your favorite thing to do? I mean, would it be the WWF wrestling back then, you know, before everything happened, or would it be the stuntmen work?
Stunt work. I should have done the stunt work from the beginning. Less injuries, more safety, better pay. For the lower level guys, it's a better pay. Yeah. And in the wrestling world, there's a lot of politics. In the stunt world, a lot of it's based on my look and my size. My size gets me a lot, but my size also hinders me from getting a lot of stuff too. Because I mean, I'm 6'2.5", 255 pounds, and I'm loud and I'm just overbearing. And my presence, I'm kind of a large. The wrestling world taught me how to be a larger than life person by dressing flashy, by being loud and boisterous, by always carrying on and making commotion. So that's a good thing. But sometimes I'm too loud where they have to tell me to tone it down. You got to tone it down, Chris, because we got a boom mic right above and it's picking up way too loud. So in the wrestling world, I've got to speak loud enough to fill a 60,000 seat arena, where in a movie room, I've got a microphone hanging right over my head. I don't have to be so loud. Sometimes that doesn't comprehend very well. So they cut. Chris, you got to tone it down. You can't be so loud. So it's just living and learning. You know, you got to live and learn.
You know, it's funny that you said that, because I was on a set and I was actually not anywhere near, you know, they were doing their scene. I was outside, downstairs, in the street talking to, but the window was open. And that's how sensitive those boom mics are.
Sure.
It caught some of our conversations, so they had to wind it back. And then they told me, there was like, we can hear what you guys are talking about, because we lent, it was my daughter's grandfather who lent that property out. So he was there because he wanted to see how it was done. You know what I mean? And we were just sitting there, you know, bullshitting. Basically, right. And the boom mic picked it up, which I mean, it's all right, whatever, they fixed it. But yeah, they're sensitive. Yeah, so how often are you training now?
In the gym, I train. I'm one of those believers that my body is my temple. In order to do what I do, I have to be in the best shape in my life. So I train every morning. I go in with my wife at 5 in the morning and I do cardio. And I'm a personal trainer. So at 6 o'clock, I start work. And then I also work with nonviolent drug offenders as a life fitness coach. So basically, I work from like 6 o'clock until like 10 o'clock. And then I go to the neighboring town and then I work out with like 5 or 6 former drug addicts. So I work out like 3 a days. And then I just started Weight Watchers where I went from 275 and now I'm out down to about 250 because my doctor told me the older that you get, you're going to start to tighten up in your joints and stuff. You need to stay flexible and you need to be able to move if you're going to do what you do. So that means you got to lose weight. So I'm down to about 250 and everything is good. But I train at least 2 to 3 times a day and I try to eat the best that I can, you know?
I see. I working out, that wouldn't be an issue, but the 5 o'clock in the morning, that would be the
Well,
issue.
the reason I do that is because my wife is a school teacher, and at the end of the day, she doesn't want to go to the gym. So she gets up at 5, and she has to be out there by 6:30. So I get up just to go in with her, which kind of motivates her, and it also kind of motivates me. So
I'm not a morning person. Everybody knows that. People who I work with, I mean, I will get up that early if I have to get up that early to be on a set, you know.
right.
But other than that, everybody knows do not contact me until at least 12 because I need at least an hour to wake up.
Sure,
And normally I'm working until probably 4:30 in the morning anyway.
sure.
You know what I mean? So they know. Do not call her. She is mean. My family won't even talk to me for an hour.
That's too funny. No, I'm the exact opposite. I go to bed at 9 o'clock every night.
See,
You know,
yeah, but I mean, like with me, it's I'm up until 4:30, because people are on different time zones. Sometimes
sure.
Australia's ahead, UK's ahead, this person, that person. It's just like, damn, I'm having meetings at 1:30 in the morning.
Right, right.
It's
Completely.
exhausting. It is. People
Right.
people realize that. So what do you got? You got anything good coming up you can talk about?
There's a movie in LA, San Francisco. It's called Longshore. It's about the Longshore Union out in on the West Coast. And a friend of mine, it's a story about her father, and her name's Ellen Wing, and Ron Howard's going to direct it. And I got a decent part in. I play the muscle for the union boss, and they're supposed to start shooting that July of next year, and they're going to shoot 2 weeks in San Francisco, 2 weeks in Hawaii, and 1 week in Seattle. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. That'd
He's
be fun.
doing a lot of documentary type
He
stuff,
does,
right?
yeah, he does a lot of. From what I understand, he prefers to do documentaries and true stories based on true stories that were like, because he did
Hillbilly Elegy.
yeah, which was based on a true story. This movie out there, and the gentleman that plays supposedly, I'm not sure who they casted for the lead. They were talking to Tom Hardy, but I don't know. That's one thing that's coming up. Your project,
Yeah.
which is coming up, which I'm looking forward to. That should be fun. Then there's the new Blade movie that's supposed to shoot in Cleveland, and a friend of mine, the guy that shot White Boy Rick, his name's Hahn, is going to direct it now, and hopefully they bring in a stunt coordinator, local stunt coordinator. I get to do some work on that because I'm starting to find with the COVID and all the restrictions, they want to hire more local anymore than they want to fly people in because then they have to quarantine and they have to do all that. Every state's different. You go to New Mexico, you have to quarantine for a week. So they're not bringing a lot of people in from out of New Mexico. Same thing with LA. LA is a little crazy.
Well,
And
I know, I can tell you why they're doing that too. Another reason why they're doing that is the same reason I want to shoot Shattered Dreams here in Ohio. I mean, when you're in this business, it's tight knit. Everybody thinks, oh, it's so big. The film community is so big. No, it's not. It's not,
right,
but when you're filming, and the reason why I want to film here is because if somebody on my crew or my set goes down, then I already know so many people in this area to where I make a phone call, they're there in 15 minutes. It's to save money on a budget is what it is.
Sure it is.
And
Yeah,
then
it is.
you don't have to fly somebody out. You don't have to wait
Right.
on them to get here, do the testing, and then, put them up in the hotels and everything.
Right.
And it's just so much easier. It's
Yeah,
easy.
I agree with you. I
You
mean,
know?
when they shot Escape Plan 3, Stallone and Batista and 50 Cent, they shot it here in Mansfield. They shot it all, the whole thing in Mansfield.
Yeah.
I auditioned for stunts. I auditioned for an inmate. I auditioned for a prison guard. I auditioned for a police officer and didn't get anything. They flew everybody in from LA. They just went through the process so that they could get the tax incentive. Well, then they started using addresses of people, of just fake addresses. And the state found out about it and took the tax incentive away. And then they got all pissed off. And it's like, you know what? Do what you're supposed to do. And it was a $28 million movie, so they would have got $2.8 million back, and or something like that, and the incentive money. But the director wanted to bring in his own guys, and the stunt coordinator wanted to bring in his own guys. And you know what? That's great. All you had to do out of the 30 guys is hire 10 local guys, and you would have met your quota. You had to hire maybe 2 makeup people, maybe a couple lighting guys. You had to have at least, I think it's 22% of your cast and your crew local to qualify for the tax incentive. They didn't do that. They just gave everybody a new address, an Ohio address. And that's not the way it works, you know?
No, that would land your ass in jail.
Yeah.
Seriously. I mean, that's illegal.
So basically what happened was they lost their tax incentive and then they got all pissed off about it. And what do you expect?
They'll probably never get another one either.
No.
Because of that.
And they used the prison. And you know how much they paid for the prison? Shut the prison down for a month and a half. How much do you think they paid for the prison to shut it down for a month and a half?
That I don't know.
$600,000 to shut it down for a month and a half. Because they do their haunt there, and their haunt is their biggest moneymaker of the year. Well, they were going to go from the middle of October to the end of November. So that means they had to push their haunt early, and they couldn't do a Halloween. So you're going to make up for that. If they're making $3 or $4 million just based on their haunt, you're going to pay out the Yahoo to make up for what they're losing. You know, so I mean, it's crazy. It's a crazy world, but you know what?
That's the worst thing you can do is try to close one of the most haunted prisons around down, especially at Halloween. Right. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then pay $600,000 because I don't think I could have shut it down if I owned the prison. I don't think I would have. I'd been like, well, you guys can film when it's done. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because that's a lot of money that they're losing out on. Sure. And like I told you, when I plan on getting the one, I want to shoot outside of the hours because I need certain things and I don't want to have random people, you know what I mean? Like walking or it being noisy over in one area versus the other area, you know?
Like I said, I know like they run their tours at and we're just to let everybody know what we're speaking about. It's the Ohio Reformatory where they shot Shawshank. It's like a big to do in the movie business. And I mean, they run their haunts till 4. So when we would work on it, on Escape from Death Block 13, we would do from 4 in the afternoon to 4 in the morning. And there were long days, but it's crazy at night because it's spooky and you see a lot of things that you don't think you're going to see.
It's haunted as hell, man.
It's really crazy. And then that one girl was in there and she's supposed to be like some kind of spiritualist. She said, you'll take things home with you. I mean, the spirits will cling on to you and they'll go home with you. So everybody had a crystal that they carried in their pocket, which is supposed to allow good energy to bleed off, whatever. And I didn't bring anything home with me, thank God. But
Mansfield's the same way. Yeah. Mansfield, sorry, I'm moving around. I can't get comfortable. Yeah, Mansfield. I actually was going to do a modeling shoot there right after I got into acting. And it sucked because I didn't realize how far it was. And I also had stuff down here I had to do.
Sure.
And oh my God, I was so looking forward to it because I love spots like that. And I like old architecture. That's why on my photos where I don't know if you look at my Facebook profile, you'll see a picture where I'm staring up at the building, but
Right,
my back is kind of turned.
right.
That was actually shot at Spring Grove Cemetery, and they have all the mausoleums, and the architecture is gorgeous,
Really,
gorgeous. I love old buildings. I don't know why.
sure,
Just I love old buildings. It's just
sure.
cool. So, okay, what other hobbies do you have besides being in this business, outside of this
Um,
business?
I'm a big sports guy, so I like to watch football and I like to watch basketball and stuff like that. I used to be a football coach. I used to be the strength and conditioning coach for the local high school. So I'm a real big weightlifter, and I love the whole physical fitness aspect of everything. And then I like to spend time with my friends and just hang around the house when I'm not doing anything else. I would rather work on the yard, all that kind of stuff. And I'm a big cat lover. And people think, oh my God, you're this big tough guy, and I got two cats, and they're my babies. So
I had three. I like them too. I'm allergic to them, and
um,
somehow I got conned when they were babies. But anyway, I had two black cats that I absolutely loved. They just passed away this
oh,
year. Both of them passed away, so we've got them. We had them cremated.
I had mine cremated too from past. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I love them, but sometimes like I'm taking two allergy pills a day, sometimes three.
Sure,
You know what I
sure.
mean? My house
I
is like
understand.
really, really clean because I have to keep everything clean. And we
Right.
still have one cat. He's actually supposed to be a rare cat. He's a Sokok. His
Uh,
name is Loki. He's a little terrorist.
Nice.
He's funny though. Um, okay, so outside of the hobby, so you're just a homebody.
Basically. Yeah. Yeah. I got married 2 years ago. I dated her. I dated my wife for 2 years before we got married, and we spent a lot of time with the grandkids. She's got grandkids, and they come over, and I play hide and seek with them in the house, and we go out and throw the football and stuff like that. I enjoy that kind of stuff.
Have you had to
I
put
mean,
any dresses on yet?
not yet, not
Not
yet.
yet.
But speaking of that, I for Christmas I'm Irish. My wife got me a kilt. So now I'm going to start wearing a kilt around because I've always wanted one, but I've always been that kind of like, I don't know if I really want to wear one. So I got one, and they're pretty comfortable. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a try. So yeah, we'll see.
Have you ever seen that show? Oh my gosh, Lip Sync Battle with LL Cool J.
Yes, I've seen it, and then I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I've never watched the whole thing. But yeah,
You've got to Google the episode where Channing Tatum, he dressed up from the chick. He went to battle with his wife. At the
okay.
time, she was his wife, not now. But he wore the Frozen costume.
Oh, really? We'll have to check it out. Yeah.
You gotta watch that. You really do. You're gonna die. You're gonna crack up. It's so funny. So, where do you see yourself in 5 years, Chris?
I see myself gradually getting out of the stunt work and getting more into acting. Um, I'm I'm seeing that the wrestling world, you're getting actors like John Cena now is becoming pretty big. Dave Batista is coming pretty big. Then you got Dwayne Johnson. Randy Orton is just basically retired from the wrestling. He got hurt. He's getting into acting and stuff. More action heroes. And the crazy thing is, people are like, you're too old to be an action hero. And I'm sitting there thinking, you know what? The Rock is 50. Dave Batista's 54. These guys, John Cena's probably 48. I'm 50. It's like, can I run a mile? No. Can I throw a punch? Yes. Can I fall down? Yes. And half the time, if I become a decent enough actor, I'm going to have a double do all that stuff for me anyway, and I'm not going to have to worry about it. So, I mean, I got a nice agent in New Mexico. His name's Peter Yankee, and the company's called Furgun Mayer, and they're a SAG-based, and he gets me auditions for. I just had an audition for Walker, Texas Ranger. I had a call back, and I'm going to find out after the first year if I got it or not. I've had auditions for The Young and the Restless and stuff like that. And it's like, do I ever see myself on a soap opera? No. But I'm having fun doing it.
Yeah.
And the characters I would have played on a soap opera, I was going to be the crime boss's henchman, which is cool. I play a great bad guy. I play a great prick. I play a great guy that just is a real SOB. That's the kind of roles I like. That's the kind of guy I was in the wrestling world. I was a real cocky SOB, and that's what I enjoy to do. Now, in real life, I'm a pretty humble guy, and I'm pretty gracious. And um, my whole philosophy in life is if I can put a smile on somebody's face, then I made my day. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of an upbeat, I'm kind of a motivated guy. But man, when it comes to being a bad guy in the movies and television stuff, that's what I'd rather be. I feel more comfortable being that.
Yeah. That's how, I mean, I've talked to Fergan, actually, the one that you were just talking to. I talked to him on the phone for clients.
Right.
But that's how I feel. Honestly, as far as roles, I know I can be the badass because I ride motorcycles.
Sure.
I grew up with 8 brothers, a fight, you know what I mean?
Sure.
That kind of stuff. I think the weak part of the area for me would be the sentimental shit. The sappy stuff. I know I would struggle with that.
I took method acting once because I wanted to see if I could make myself cry. And the coach actually made me cry. He got some inner feelings out and stuff like that. I'm not a romantic kind of guy. You will never see me in the Notebook. I'm not. I'm kind of a funny guy, so I could do some comedy stuff. But I see myself more of a cop, bad guy, drug dealer, henchman, bodyguard, prison guard, inmate, kind of stuff like that. And I also do like what they call prosthetic suit performing. So I'll wear monster get-ups. And I love the horror genre, especially when I'm covered in latex rubber and I'm just chasing people through the woods. That's the best. I really enjoy that. And it's kind of corny, but it seems like I don't have butterflies in my stomach if my face isn't being shown. Because if I screw up, they don't know who it is. And so I enjoy. I think I have a part in a Friday the 13th fan film where I'm going to play Jason. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. Can be kind of fun. But it's like anymore, it's kind of difficult in a way being SAG because there's not a lot of SAG work in Ohio. So I have to travel if I really want to do SAG work. And then SAG comes out and says, well, you can't do independent movies because you're SAG. And I'm sitting there thinking, how am I going to learn my craft if I can't work on some of these movies? So I found a loophole. And what I'll do is if an independent movie wants me and they use me as an associate producer, when they look at it, it looks like it's a movie that I put money into. So SAG can't come back and slap my hand and say, you can't do that because I'm putting my hard-earned money. It looks like I'm putting my heart, when I'm not putting anything in it, I don't expect anymore. I don't expect residuals. It's just a way for me to get on some of these independent movies and work so I can learn how to act and I can learn how to perfect my craft and I'm not going to be penalized,
That's how I feel. Oh my God, I've had this conversation with so many people. I've been SAG eligible for a while.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, I hear, things about SAG. I'm not saying SAG's awesome. You know what I mean? It's great. But I also have friends that are SAG where I see stipulations, and stuff and lack of work and all this other stuff. And then I had a friend of mine, I'm not going to name this person, but told me about FICOR because when I had first got into the business, I didn't even know about FICOR.
Right.
And he explained everything to me. And I was just like, okay, so that makes more sense. Being in FICOR, yeah, you're still a part of SAG. It's just another part of SAG, But
the only difference in being FICOR is you don't get the screeners and you don't get to vote.
In the elections.
Who cares?
Yep.
Like I vote. 2 times I voted for who I voted for SAG president. They didn't win anyway. So what was my vote really worth?
I wonder if they require in-person voting with an ID. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. True, exactly.
I'm joking. It's a joke.
With SAG, it's like you pay your dues, and it's nice to get those residuals if you work on a big movie. But how many big movies? I mean, that bike riders. Did you work on that down in Cincinnati?
No, I did not actually. And I'm a little mad about that because I even went and borrowed a motorcycle because I sold mine last year and I did not get the call. The motorcycle's still here. But I was like,
Nice.
damn, man, I really wanted to be on that because I love riding motorcycles. I mean, there's videos I've put up on Facebook of me
Sure.
riding and talking to people. You know what I
Sure.
mean? On Facebook. I love riding. You
Well,
know, I was
the
disappointed.
the stunt coordinator is pretty cool, and he's a great guy. I mean,
Yeah.
he's a stunt coordinator on Tulsa King, and he's done a lot of
I
stuff.
love that show.
That is pretty good.
I
He called me
love
up and he
that
said,
show.
"Hey, I'm interested in using you in a bar scene where you're gonna make a smart ass comment to somebody, and then you're gonna sucker punch them when they turn around." And I'm like, "Great, that'd be great." And then he goes, "There's another scene in the clubhouse where you're gonna call a girl a bitch and a whore, and you're gonna go to smack her, and someone's gonna grab your hand, and they're gonna sucker punch you." And then he calls me back and he says, "You're too old. We're looking for guys that are 35." And I'm like, "Yeah, you know what? You can't get them all." But he was gracious enough to call me. He was gracious enough to call me back and say, a lot of times they'll just leave you hanging, and you don't know what's going on. And then there's that one down there called Wise Guys now right now that's with Robert De Niro that's shooting down there in Cincinnati.
I hope
And
I get called on for that one. But what happened to me was this is so messed up. I mean, like I was disappointed about it because the one movie that came here to film, the Regina King movie, that
right,
was my hair was too blonde for that one. Too blonde. So I got sick of the bleach kind of it was frying my freaking hair. You know what I mean? So
sure,
I'm like, I'm just gonna dye my hair a normal color where it's not bleach. I don't have to worry about it. And I just light or made it a little bit darker than it was. And then they text me for the bike riders movie. I was so mad. And they was like, is your hair still like that? And I sent him a picture of my hair. I was like, it had to be bleach blonde. That probably had to be what the problem was. I didn't get one role because my hair was too blonde, and I didn't get this one because it wasn't blonde enough. And I'm just
right,
like, damn, you know what I mean?
right.
It sucks sometimes, But okay, so do you have a personal motto that you live your life by?
Um, my personal motto basically is it is what it is. I'm not going to get everything in life that I want, but I'm going to try my hardest to get it. And if I fail, then you know what? It is what it is because I'm going to learn from that and it's going to make me a better person in the long run. So basically, that's kind of my motto is it is what it is, I guess you'd say.
I mean, it's true. Everybody thinks, you're going to get everything in life, but
Right,
life is going to hit you left and right. It doesn't matter. It's how you use the experience.
right. I mean, don't get me wrong. Um, I've gotten some great projects, and there were some projects that I auditioned for that I thought, you know what, there's no way in hell I can lose this. No way. And then I never hear from them again. And then when I do something where I think, my God, I just stink the joint up, I'm not going to get this, they call me and they say, hey, we want to call back. And it's like, makes no sense in the world. But you know what? I don't say anything. I just go with it. It is what it is.
Right, exactly. That's about the way it is. That's business.
It is what it
You
is.
never know.
Right,
You
exactly.
never know. That's why it's so hard when you're trying to make plans, unless it's your production. But when you're trying to make plans and everything, just you never know. You can get
Right,
a call at 5 o'clock in the morning. You can get a call at freaking 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It does not matter. You know what I
right.
mean? Like you said, it is what it is.
Exactly. Exactly. And it was crazy because back in the day, a lot of stuff would Rick Fike would get a lot of stuff from and he would call me at 2 a.m. You need to send me a headshot and a resume in PDF file right now. Because they want it right now. So I get up and I'm half groggy. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'm trying to put together a PDF file and I have no clue what I'm doing because I'm still asleep. And then he calls me back. What are you doing? Send it to me now. They want it right now. And I'm sitting there thinking, the movie business is the only business that I've ever known on where you hurry up and hurry up and hurry up and hurry up and hurry up. And then when you get there, you wait and you wait. And it's 3 hours later and you're still waiting. And it's like, you told me to hurry up and get here. And now I'm sitting around for 3-4 hours and I'm waiting. It makes no sense. But like I said, they're paying me. So I keep my mouth shut.
That's freaking hilarious. It's true though.
Right.
It's true.
Yeah, it really is.
Well, I know one thing. I am not going to keep you because
Sure.
I'm sure it's probably what, 8:30,
Something like that.
something like that, close to your bedtime.
Close to my bedtime, exactly.
Me,
Exactly.
I'll still be up until 3:30 in the morning. It's not gonna matter. I'll be probably going to bed when you're waking up.
Probably. And
Yeah.
I'll think about you when I'm on the treadmill, sweating and running.
Yeah, you're gonna be like, man, I wonder if that bitch is still sleeping.
I'd like to say just a couple things before we part. I got 2 things coming out in January. Well, I got one coming out this week. Red Notice, or not Red Notice. White Noise. Adam Driver, Don Cheadle, and God, who's the Greta Gerwig is in it. And then in January, I did 2 weeks on Mayor of Kingstown in season 2, episodes 2 and 3 and 4. I think I'm in. And then I'm going to be on the Eric Andre show as a Stone Cold Steve Austin impersonator, doing some gag stuff. So I'm kind of excited about that. So I got a few things coming out, and but I appreciate you having me on. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. We'll do it again. And then I know for a fact I'm going to end up seeing you soon anyway.
Exactly. We'll be working together. It'll be great. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
No problem. You have a good night. I want to say goodbye to everybody watching, and Christmas is over, so I'm not going to say Merry Christmas, but I will say Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Exactly.
All right, you guys, we are out of here for the night. Thank you.
On that night when I first gave my heart to yours, I was scared and feeling insecure. You told me, my darling, even on your darkest days, you'd always reassure